they didn't hear from you that they wanted to hear on why they chose to go with a different agent?
It was a marital split. So the wife wanted me, but the husband wanted another realtor, and she said I did nothing wrong, and it was just a battle of wits. So clearly I did something that, you know, didn't put me in first place. So I'm hoping that, you know, what you share, I can grow and move forward from.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I will, we'll dig into that. That sounds like a value conversation. You know, them weighing it out. The other side is it might have been a commission conversation or a
Yes.
combination of the two, commission for value. And, you know, a shifting market's probably the best place to start pouring value in. So I'm gonna get started, guys. If you can get your cameras on, it's you know, hard to get a lot of engagement to blank screens and random names. So if anyone's feeling comfortable today, it's a beautiful day outside. Get your cameras on and we can start engaging together. You'll probably hear me ask for that a number of different times because I do enjoy seeing your beautiful faces and having engaging conversations like we just had with Michelle. So don't be afraid. Feel free to join me. Even if you're in the car, that's okay as well. All right, so Stevie, I know you wanted to do an introduction, so I'll let you kind of start and then I'll take over.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for being here today. I really want to say that you guys just showing up to this session today is already going to make you show up better in your businesses than the realtors that are not in this session today that didn't show up. So kudos to you for just showing up today. Andre, thank you so much for your time and doing this for us. For those of you guys who do not know, Andre Chin is an incredible leader in the industry for us to learn from, and he is part of the Keller Williams family too, which is awesome. Andre is the OP of Keller Williams Innovation in Mississauga. And like I said, an incredible person to learn from. So he is a master at his craft, which is, you know, negotiating, winning those listing presentations and winning over the sellers. And Andre, I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Stevie. Thank you so much. And to Stevie's point, agents that come to training make 33% more than agents that don't. So each of you here are definitely putting yourself in a position to continue to grow your business. I've been in the industry this is my 13th year in the industry. I started in a down market. I started in a tilted market, the last Great Recession at the end of 2008 to 2010. That's when I decided to get into real estate. Since then, we've got one of the top teams in Canada. I'm not sure what number we are right now. I know we finished last year in the top 15. We did over 268 units last year with a 50-50 ratio between buyers and sellers. So we are very seller heavy. We've got a great system behind closing those transactions and providing value to those sellers. And I don't say any of this stuff to brag. Really, the reason I share it is just to let you know that we know a thing or two about sellers and that everything that we do is scalable. And there is a model here, which we are going to talk about today as well. And then I'm hoping you're willing to ask any questions. We do have our chief of staff here as well with Sam, and she's going to be providing any value in the chat, any questions, that sort of stuff. We share everything that we do. So she's going to drop a link in the chat to all our resources for this course today, as well as our listing presentation, our pre-listing package, and everything else that we do. And if anyone wants to have any further conversations, my email will also be available and we can connect at a later time as well. Now, I want to start with, you know, really, why are we here? Now, I've got Michelle. Michelle has shared, obviously, you know, how to nail the appointment and how to add value to those sellers when you're in a competitive scenario. So that's one thing. What are the other reasons that some of you folks are here? Feel free to unmute and just yell it out. I'm just making a small little list here so that I ensure I get what everyone wants out of today.
I'm just trying to get sellers. I'm just a new agent, so I'm just trying to lead gen and try to start like getting those appointments booked.
Love it. Okay. And congratulations. I heard you were out door knocking today. That's a vital skill right now. So kudos to you for being willing to step out and take that charge. Awesome. What else? What else are we looking to learn today?
I'll throw something out there. I'll say, as we've mentioned, we are coming into a shifting market. Who knows, you know, what that's actually going to look like, but, you know, more than ever, this is the time when good realtors are going to stand out as opposed to the ones who got in it during a hot market. So it's time to sharpen our skills right now.
100%. And we are a company that was built in a shift. We were built in a down market. And so a lot of what we do is to counteract that shift. And I'm hoping to add some stuff to you today. Believe it or not, for anyone that's worrying about commission, it's actually easier to get more commission in a down market than it is in a hot market. So just because the market's shifting, don't feel as though you can't take more commission right now. In fact, really, if you're adding a lot of value to people's lives, now is the time to start. I know so far this year with our director of sales and a lot of our agents, they've been taking listings at 6% just by asking for it. So a shifting market doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just how you're going to position it. Your mindset is going to matter. And so we're going to start with a little mindset exercise. I can't see everyone's faces, but for those of you that I can, I want you to just take a sit back. If you're driving, don't do this. Vincent, I see you're in the car. Please don't do this part where I say close your eyes. Do not close your eyes on the road, please. And let go of the wheel. That is not the message. However, for those of you that aren't driving, just take a second and close your eyes. And I want you to just imagine yourself a year from now. We're going to future pace a little bit. You're walking into your office. It is Monday morning and you've got a stack of leads on your desk. You're going to call these leads. You're going to call each one of these leads and you're going to connect with them virtually effortlessly. You're going to say all the right things and you're going to explore with them how you can help move their lives forward. You are very confident, and because of that, you've set appointments with almost all of them. Now, after your calls, you've got 5 solid appointments booked and a solid follow-up plan for anyone else that wasn't ready for an appointment. Now, in fact, you've already done your homework for each one of these sellers, and you know exactly where you're going to recommend them pricing their home. All of your appointments go exceptionally well. You sign 4 out of the 5, and the one you didn't sign, you didn't feel it was a great match for you. So rather than take the lead, you referred them to another agent and got a referral fee. 4 new clients in a week is a huge win and boosts your motivation. Your motivation is higher than it's ever been, as you've also got 2 closings happening that day. And you are feeling motivated, and that success is going to propel you forward for the rest of the week. Now take a second, open up your eyes, come back to me. What do we feel from that? Mark, I see you smiling. That's incredible. What are we feeling after having that mindset exercise there?
He's muted.
Oh, there you go, Mark.
I'm feeling the power of that just flowing through my body.
That's incredible.
Good feeling. It's a good feeling, man.
Yeah, that would be a nice week to start. A nice way to start your week, right?
It would.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, and with some of the stuff we're going to cover today, some of those lead gen exercises, we know that you guys are practicing. You can have that. Like, that can be a reality for you as we go through some of these systems and models. So I just want to touch base quickly, and you're going to see this pop up a few times. Gary Keller has given us a lot of his nuggets through here. And so when you interview the very top people and ask them about the biggest challenge, they'll tell you it's their mindset. Keeping it strong, keeping it focused, keeping it positive amongst the many challenges that you encounter every day on the way to the top and staying there. It's not about leads at this point, it's about mindset. And we just went through one of the hardest times in human history in a 2-year global pandemic. We're all tired, we're all burnt out, we're all zoomed out, even though we're on Zoom right now. And our mindset, it may not exactly be where we always want it to be. Yet, if you look at the top agents in our company, and in fact, probably in any company, you'll notice that over the last 2 years, most of their businesses grew. Most of their businesses went up over those last 2 years. And I think a lot of that happens with mindset, because they didn't look at the pandemic as something that was going to be doom and gloom. They saw an opportunity to take market share. Our team was no different. Most of the teams in your brokerage was no different, where we pushed a little harder and we kept our mindset strong. And that's the power of having that positive mindset and continue to push forward. Now, we know that success begins with proven systems and models. And so when you study most agents, again, you want to be on the left-hand side of this. Now, most agents start their business on the right-hand side, which is very unstable. They start with creativity, fun websites, all the cool things, and they don't put the models in place after. What we're going to switch you to is starting your business with that nice thick base of the triangle with the models at the bottom, and then adding that creativity on top. Now, this course is going to represent the proven models to win the seller and to continue to grow your seller side of the business. Now, last piece of that, the fastest route to success is to follow a model and the best practices of those top agents. Don't recreate the wheel. I get asked a lot, how did we go from where we were 6 years ago, where I was just starting the team, to where we are today? And the biggest answer I have for that, and the truth, is I stopped thinking I was better than everybody else. And I started studying what the agents who did it before me did, learning from their mistakes so I could do it faster. And now I'm seeing teams and organizations doing it faster than I've ever done it. And they're getting to the top of the mountain, so to speak, in under 4 years now, which is pretty good. So know that if you want to achieve something great, if you want to build a really big life and a really big business, it doesn't have to take you a decade. You can get it done in a really short time. So jumping into the first part, the first section of this, we're going to be going through what's called the seller service cycle. You'll see that there is a big arrow on there in the middle that says it never stops, and we'll explain why when we get to the end. First chapter we're going to go through is lead conversion, then we're going to go into pre-listing, listing consultation, servicing and marketing the listing, how to handle any offers and negotiations, working through the contract to close, and then a post-close systems, which is going to be your follow-up action plans on how to keep getting more referrals every time you get a deal. Now, for everyone here, do you know every time you take a listing, how many transactions it should lead to? That is a live question, guys. Feel free to unmute and just yell it out.
I'm going to guess 5.
Yeah, 4 to 5. You're right, Michelle. So every time you take a listing, you should generate, including the sale of that listing, 4 to 5 pieces of business. Now, if you can get to 3, I think that's a great win. However, if done right, you should be able to see 4 to 5 pieces off of every single listing. Now, I know that Steve, you had mentioned kind of being brand new in the business. How nice would it be to, take a listing and by the summer have five transactions under your belt off that one listing?
It'd be spectacular.
Exactly. So we need to put some systems in place. So I'm going to start with our mindset. And again, we're going to go back there. And I just want you to think on it a little bit. I'm just going to call it out. You don't have to write anything down at this point in time yet, but I just want you to think about what are the things that you've done or are currently doing in your business and where you fit on this list. Now, remember, the more of these things you're doing, the closer you are to closing that gap. So the first one is, am I time blocking and lead generating three hours a day minimum? Do I have a database of METs and past clients? And am I consistently communicating with them? Have I taken Ignite? Am I currently signed up for Bold? Am I practicing my scripts daily? Have I consistently closed 16 or more transactions on the seller side every year? Am I using the available tools from KW in my business? Do I have a website that attracts and captures customer inquiries? Am I actively using social media in my business? Am I setting goals for the number of appointments and listings that I need each day or week? Am I immersed in my market center's culture? Am I showing up at the market center? Am I plugging in and engaging at my market center? Have I attended Mega Camp? Have I attended family reunion? And do I have an incredible coach like Michelle Terzi's with MAPS? Just mentally think about that. Where are you with your actions? And are you doing the things to help you get there? Now let's talk about that word actions. Definition of actions in the dictionary is the fact or process of doing something, typically to achieve a goal. So I want you to think about your last listing appointment. Again, we're going to spend just a few moments here in the mindset piece. So think about your listing appointments. What are you doing in that process to enable the success to get that appointment? Think about the listing appointments that didn't go well, and what was your DNA in that conversation on why you potentially lost that listing? And then the last thing I want you to think about is, do I have any limiting beliefs that are holding me back from achieving my goal or achieving getting into action? Now, keep in mind, education is really about informing, and training is about changing your behavior. So let's focus on doing that today. Let's focus on changing our behavior. Now, I want to talk about, bold law. How we participate here is how we participate everywhere. Hence why we're asking for cameras on and we're asking for engagement. You're going to learn more by being present in this room. 3 types of people that come to training. The first one is the prisoner. That person that has to be there. They don't want to be there. They don't know why they're there. Maybe my team leader told me I got to be here. Maybe I'm on a team and I got told I had to come today. Maybe someone just said you don't have a choice. That's the prisoner. Then we've got the vacationer. And that's where a day in training is better than any day on the job. So I don't want to do lead gen. I don't want to focus on anything. So you know what? I'm going to go to this class and I'm going to burn a couple of hours. And then there's the explorers. That's who this class is meant for. You're excited. You're curious about the knowledge, skills, and tools that you're going to discover. You're going to be paying attention. We're not going to be distracted doing other things, and we're going to participate. So hopefully you guys are all explorers and we can jump into this together. So let's start with lead conversion. I think one of the most important ones out of the gate. Does anyone know their conversion rates? Michelle's nodding. And I got a couple of head nods. You all know that you aren't running a business without knowing your numbers. I saw Wayne, you were nodding as well. Wayne, good to see you. Do we know our numbers? Do we know what it takes to scale our business? If I go on 3 listing appointments, how many of those should I guarantee myself? For those of you that are new in the business, obviously a great time to start tracking some of this stuff. But what are the standards? So converting leads to appointments and appointments to listings are drivers of your economic success. They're going to be accomplished by having a skill presentation that you practice over and over again with a firm grasp of scripts, dialogues, and objection handlers. So if you don't know how to do this, I would recommend to start tracking it. Start tracking how many contacts do I need to get an appointment? How many appointments do I need to go on to get a listing? And there's no judgment around it. That number is different for every single person. You'll always see this triangle show up in our world. It's a running joke on how long it's going to take Gary to draw a triangle on the screen. And it doesn't usually take him long. And you'll see that the first part there is leads. So we need an ample supply of leads in order to get listings. The more listings we take allows us to grow our organization and to get leverage in our world. So to succeed in real estate, it's that simple. Go get client leads. Until you have enough leads to meet or exceed your goal, there's no other issue that matters. No matter if you're a doctor, lawyer, or entrepreneur, everyone has a job, their chosen profession, and lead generation. Now, you could probably think about it. You probably get a call once a year from your dentist, reminding you either that you have an appointment or to try to get you to book an appointment. They always know when your last cleaning was. They always know what ails you, and they always try to book you in. Guess what, guys? That's lead generation 101 right there. There's nothing special about it, because if you don't go to the dentist and he doesn't do your cleaning, your cavities, all of these things, he doesn't make any money. Same goes for your doctor, right? So any business, and you can probably see it if you drive around. I'm going to guarantee you right now in every city, there's a ton of for lease signs from businesses that we once saw out there. These are people we know. These are clients we've had before, yet we're wondering why their businesses are closing. I'm going to guarantee you they didn't lead gen enough. They didn't double down. They didn't ask for referrals. And they just thought, hey, if I put a sign up and open my doors, people will walk through the door. That is so common. So much so that we as realtors sometimes do that as well. And so you want to know that millionaire real estate agents are seller listing lead generators first. Then they're marketers of those seller listings. And then they go after buyers. If you do this in any other order, you're not going to have a stable business. So you want to ensure that your buyers are able, willing, and ready, and what the definition of a lead is, because all leads are not equal. And depending on your volume, where you are in your business, a lead is going to mean something different to you. But the leads that are most deserving of your time fit this model. So they're financially able to complete the transaction. They're willing to take action now, not next year or down the road. And they're ready to start making decisions, strategic decisions, now. Now, you may have to adapt your definition of what a lead is. If you're closing deals really fast, you might want to shorten the timeline for leads. If you're brand new in the business, a lead may be someone that's willing to transact this year. If you're doing 10 deals a month, a lead might only be someone that's willing to transact in the next 3 months. There's just a slight difference there between what a lead is and what a nurture is. Now, in this example, Tony DeCello, vice president of MAPS, former vice president of MAPS, Tony says, if I'm doing 200 to 300 deals a year, I can't follow a lead for more than 14 days. If I'm doing 25 deals a year, I can follow that lead for a lot longer. So the busier you are, the shorter that definition is going to be. Now, you want to avoid the pitfall, because not gauging the client's ability may hurt you. You might spend time with a lead, and we've all done it. We've all shown buyers around forever, and then all of a sudden they decide to change their mind. Their motivation shifts. We might be talking to a seller for months, only to realize that we didn't have all the decision makers at the table in that time. And there's a third cousin that's on title, and that person actually doesn't want to sell that property. So stuff to keep in mind as you go through this is are those clients able, ready, and willing? Now, when we get into the conversion model, you'll see that there's 4 steps. And I want to note step 2, 3, and 4 is a cycle. We're going to start with capture. We are going to work through each one of these, but just keep that in mind. Once you connect with the client, you have 2 options: close for the appointment, and if you don't get it, cultivate until we get an appointment. And we might be in this cycle with a client multiple times, where we close to the appointment, we actually go on the appointment, find out they're not able, ready, and willing, and we go back into the cultivation phase with them through this process. So I want to ensure that we spend some time here, and we're going to talk about what that looks like. Now, successful lead conversion outcome, obviously building a business, conversations to achieve high-level goals. So getting an appointment, getting an referral, that's what's important. Successful lead conversion, strengthen the relationship. It's the other side. So we want to ensure that we are going through this. Now, getting to the table first or second is what matters most, keeping that in mind as well. This makes conversion more important than presentation, and the competitive battle is almost single-handedly won by getting the appointment before anyone else. So who's asking, when you book an appointment, who's asking if they're in competition, or are we avoiding that question? Michelle, you're nodding. Mark's nodding. Michelle, I see you. 2 Michelles, I see you both kind of nodding. Are we asking that question? Hey, are you interviewing other realtors? Yeah, Stevie's saying they always ask. It's important to know it. It's not a bad thing to say, hey, am I in competition here? Terry, great to see you as well. You have to ask. All right, so ensure that you are asking that question. You're leading with that. Before going on any appointments, you should be using a pre-qualification script. That is available as well. Stevie can send you out one of those. We do have those available, but capturing the appointment, that's going to be step 1. So opportunity with seller leads. So you've got the seller that's living in the home. So this is the primary residence, pretty straightforward. Your appointment, your opportunities here include winning the listing. You may also get a buyer with them as well. Then there's your job relocation seller. Now, this is a seller that's motivated by a transfer to a new location. So again, you want to win the listing, Maybe you can also join with the listing relocation company. If you haven't added that to your strategy, that's an easy Google search. There are tons of companies that do that. Our Hamilton partners are plugged into a great one. When people move with certain companies, they hire these companies to take care of everything for them. They do the move, they set up the movers, they call the listing agents, et cetera, et cetera. You can join that list and be one of the listing agents of choice on one of these relocation companies. Those are guaranteed leads whenever someone moves. That's a tip for everyone there. And then there's your investor seller. Now, these are one of the most lucrative ones because they might have other properties to sell. So I know our director of sales, Mike, he picked one up and I think he's on his 4th transaction with them. They're trying to clear some of their inventory out before the market goes below where they think it's going to go. And then on top of that, investors love other investors. So if you kick butt with your investor, there's a really good chance that they're going to refer you to other investors who are going to want the same service level and treatment, and you can get those referrals out there. There's a couple different capture techniques that work. One of those is the 3x3. It's where I'm going to call you 3 times a day for 3 days in a row. Whenever I get an inquiry on online lead, a realtor.ca lead, et cetera, until I get a yes or a no. That's one way. The other way is the 10 days of pain. This is one we use in our organization. And that's for 10 straight days. We're going to email, call, and text this lead until we get a yes or a no. Now that one is designed for exactly what it is. It's designed for 10 days of pain. It is designed for them to either tell us no or to answer the phone. The times are mixed up. The text message times are mixed up as well. So it's not always consistently the same time. But the goal there is for them to let us know either A, why they signed up and what they're looking for, or B, that they're not interested in working with us so that we can move on to someone who is. Now, if you visit kellerinc.com or you download what's called the social, social looks like this for anyone that needs to see it. It's in there. It's actually from Ben Kinney and Jay Papasan. So we didn't create it. Again, you're in a company that shares everything. And that's a really great way to get a hold of people once you start chatting with them or that inquiry comes in or any of the versions that you capture them. Now, when you're sending those daily emails, there's usually things in there like free CMAs. You might have some value, how to sell your home faster, give them some tricks and unique stuff to encourage them to want to join in with you as well. Delia, absolutely. That's one of the smart plans that we use is the 10 days of pain. And then we have our 8x8 and our 36 touch. It's no longer 36 touches. I may get this wrong, Sam, but I believe we're up to 63 touches in that. And for anyone that doesn't have the social, shoot us an email at hello@, we'll get the link over to you. Delia, again, email hello@, and we'll get that over to you. And then Stevie says kellerinc.com. And it's INK, not INC, Keller, INK.com. Should be available there for you as well. It's all good, Stevie. All right, so the second is connecting. Now, one of the ways is connecting with the behavioral styles. Does everyone know their disc? Wayne's nodding. I see a few head nods here. Lisa, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. What's your disc?
I am very strong C.
Very strong C. So Lisa, if it's okay, can I ask, would you do a quick 30-second exercise with me?
Sure.
Okay. How do you like to be communicated with?
Emails.
Emails. Do you like a lot of details in those emails?
For sure. 100%.
Yeah. Do you need to know all the facts before making a decision?
Yes.
Yeah. That's just knowing, and that's all I need. I don't need anything else from you. Thank you so much. And that is a behavioral style. So now if I know that and I can recognize that, and I'm going to try to convince Lisa to work with me, what do you think I got to show up to that appointment with? Michelle, you're muted. Come on, think about it.
Lots
go
of
ahead.
information.
Lots and lots
of
of information.
statistics, lots of numbers, lots of plans, so she knows what's happening because she wants all the details.
Exactly. Here's one thing that you missed on that. Lisa probably wants a checklist.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Lisa, do you like checklists? You're nodding, you're smiling. Do you love
You should
checklists?
see my desk. I have checklists all over the place.
Yeah. That's what she's going to want. She's going to want a plan. She's going to want to know what's the next step. So if you don't have that in your listing package, guys, get a checklist. Cover all the bases so that you understand. We hear a lot about what's called the golden rule, which is how, treat others the way you want them to treat you. I want you to start thinking a little bit differently around this. Think of the platinum rule and let's treat others the way they want to be treated. I'm a high D. Stevie, I know you're a high D as well. I don't want to be treated in the same way that Lisa does. So if I go into that appointment treating her how I want to be treated, I'm going to lose that appointment every single time. But if I come from a positive place and I come from a place of that platinum rule where I think, hey, my client seems like someone who needs to know everything, I'm going to ensure that I treat her that way and that I give her as much information as I possibly can. Now, I'll share a story with you. I won a listing simply on that fact. I was the last person called in. I didn't even have the initial 3 appointments. All 3 agents went in, did a fantastic presentation. They're all great agents. They do a lot of videos and things of that nature. I know all three people really, really well. And then I get this call from this person saying, hey, can you come in tonight and do an appointment? I asked the question, hey, am I in competition? Are there other agents that I've interviewed for the position? She said, yeah, there's 3 other people that I've met with. I'm just looking for another opinion. So I just started chatting with her. Now, one of the things we include in our packages is a checklist. And that checklist is quite simple, 65 ways to help your home sell faster. That was given to us by one of our stagers a few years ago, and it helps. We won that listing simply on that. And I asked her, I said, why'd you choose to work with us? And she said, because I have a checklist on how to get my home ready for the market. And nobody else told me what the next steps were in order to move my listing forward. That checklist got me an extra $15,000. Start including it. Start including a plan of action in everything that you do going forward. Because you're not going to know sometimes until you're in the appointment, A, who the decision maker is, and B, what their sociable style is going to look like. So you have to cover a lot of the bases in there, and then you'll realize pretty quickly who your high Ds and your high Is are and what you need to do there. So Stevie, I'm looking at you. You're a high D, a high I. Which one is your dominant? Is it the high D or the other side?
D.
The high D is your dominant. You like people to get to the point.
Yeah.
Beat around the bush, tell me what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and get out my door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah. And I just want to thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Your high Is, guys, get into the storytelling. You're sociable people. They want to hang out with you. They want to talk about it. A lot of people out there that are that way, and you're going to be able to learn and pick these things up. If you don't know this stuff yet, reach out to Stevie, go do a disc consultation with her, get your KPA done so you understand what your personality loves, but then it'll help you understand what some of the other personalities are. And then there's your high S's, and those are your stability people. You want to make sure with those people you are shutting up and listening. You want to be calm with them. Don't be too excitable. You're going to lose them if you are. They're going to be controlled in their emotion. So sometimes it's going to seem like they're thinking a lot. And they only work with people they trust. So you got to earn that trust with your stability people. Now, determining this quickly will help, but this is something that, Stevie and Colin can help you guys with, or any of your other team leaders for any of the guests from any of the market centers. Reach out to those team leaders, have a conversation, figure out what your disc is, and then how you like to be communicated. And then, like I said, follow that platinum rule where you learn how the other person likes to as well. Any questions around that? I know that's a pretty big topic. Anyone have any questions around that one? Okay, before I move on, again, pre-qualification, if you don't have one, There is a standard pre-qualification script out there that you can get. Either reach out to us, or I know Stevie can provide it for you as well. But you want to make sure you have that. We used to call them lead sheets. For anyone that's been in sales in other departments, called lead sheets. It's basically a system that you can use to get all the information that you need out of the seller before that appointment. It's going to cover who they are, what they need or want, where do they need or want to go, why they need or want to do this, when do they want to do it by, and do they have a plan around it already? So again, for anyone that needs one of those, let us know, but it's pretty simple, right? Do you have 5 minutes so I can ask you some very important questions before we come out and meet with you? How'd you hear about me? Where are you moving? What's your motivation? How soon do you want to be there? If I sold your home in the next 7 days, would that be a problem for you? Again, check in motivation. Do you have any questions for me before we meet? Will all the decision makers be there when we get there? Do you know what your home is worth yet, or how much you'd like to list your home for? Again, figuring out what the motivation is. Are they realistic? And then confirming the appointment again, because the last thing you want to do is show up for an appointment that isn't confirmed, or the seller's not expecting you. And then number 3, closing to that appointment. So after you've done the pre-qualification and everything else, asking for that appointment. Gary Keller says the right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach, which is to just simply ask. Now we do have the 10 classic closes from Gary. We can send that out to you. I will cover those in a bit. But it's important to ask. Everyone has a different way, so make sure that you're working with your personality type. Make sure that you are asking the right questions. Make sure that you're using those pre-qualification scripts, and then going through the 10 classic closes. So there's the hard close. Let's meet today. There's a soft close. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. Would you like to get together to discuss selling your home further? The direct close, can we meet today at 3 or tomorrow at 4? The indirect close, would it be okay if I got you some information to look over and then we can discuss it? The trial close, have we gone over enough today that a meeting would be the next steps? The assumptive close, it sounds like we should meet. I'm available most times this week, so what works best for you? The negative positive, this was one of my favorite ones when I was at the door. I love this one. So would you be offended if I asked to meet to go over this? All right, Steve, you mentioned being at the doors today. That's a great way to get conversation. Hey, Steve, would you be offended if I kept in touch with you?
Not at all.
Bingo, database. You'll improve your database closings through the roof just with that simple line when you're at the door with them. No, I'm not interested in selling. No, I don't know anyone. You know what? Hey, that's really great. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me. Would you be offended if I kept in touch with you going forward? Head down, pen to paper. Don't even look back up at them when you ask that question. It's automatically going to be a no. No one's going to be offended for you keeping in touch with them. Okay, great. I got you at 123 Main Street. What's the best number to reach you at and the best email? And you just keep the pen on the paper. You'll increase your database ratio through the roof just by that alone. Then there's the take back close. I've really enjoyed visiting with you. To be honest, I'm not really sure if I can help you, but I'd be honored to meet with you to find out. You tell people you don't want to meet with them, all of a sudden it changes the conversation. We do that in our listing presentation when we meet them. We use the old bold script, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We have 3 objections today. One of those things we want to handle is whether or not we want to take your listing. You got to be confident to use that line, but when you do, just watch them straighten up. All of a sudden, everyone's sitting at attention. They're hearing what you have to say, and it changes the conversation because most sellers think you're coming in to beg for their business. You tell them that you're not sure if you're the right person for them, it changes the way in which they interact with you. And they just get really nice all of a sudden, and the walls come down because no one wants to be rejected. So that's one of the ones that we use as well. The tie down, wouldn't it make sense for us to meet in the next day or so? the alternative, what works better for you, meeting today, sometime this afternoon, or tomorrow morning. Now I want to chat just a quick second about answering a question versus handling an objection. Feel free to unmute yourself. Hey, what's your commission? Is that a question or an objection?
Question.
It's a question. Hey, Wayne, what's your commission?
6%.
Awesome. Would you do it for 5?
No.
Still just a question, guys. It's that simple. It's still just a question. Until they give you something to work with, it's still just a question. Now, Wayne, I've got to, I really want to work with you. This is awesome. We're ready to sign, but I did have another agent tell me they would do it for 4%. Would you consider doing it for 4%?
Well, they're going into objection handler. So Andre, usually when I hear got a question about commission, what I'm really hearing you say is that you'd like to net the most amount of money. Isn't that correct?
That is so right.
We're going to keep going?
Nope, no, you got me there. It's the exact answer I was looking for. I knew you'd have it. And I appreciate you sharing that. That's an objection handler. What I hear you say is you want to net the most amount of money for your home. He's handled that objection and got me to give him a yes right away. Follow up to that is, is it important what you pay me or is it important what you net for the home? So let's talk about how to net you the most for your home. And you've handled that objection and you can move on. Another agent said they would do it cheaper, whatever the objection is. Really, did you have to ask for that or that agent offer that out of the gate? See, I'm going to protect your money in the same way that I protect mine. And so I'm not willing to give up my commission right away. But let's talk about how to get you the most amount of money for your home and why actually paying a fair commission is going to help you net more than any other realtor out there. Handle the objection. So keep that in mind. You're going to hear it a lot, especially in the shifting market. You're going to hear people try to bring your commission down. They're going to try to get you to do more for free, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of times they are just questions. Don't run to give up your commission. Don't run to fold over right away just because they've asked you a question. Similar to what Wayne just did right there. What's your commission? I charge 6%. Similarly, I charge 3% and you can decide what you want to pay the other side. It's another one that works. These are just questions. You're just answering your questions. And so then the last step is that cultivation piece. We've gone in, we had the appointment, they're not ready to sell, or we didn't get the appointment because they're not there yet. So we're going to work on cultivating them. Now, this has to be a plan. Depending on the timeline that they're out, you're going to decide how much you're going to chat with them. Now, if someone tells you I'm a year out, guess what? They're only 6 months out. Whatever they tell you, cut it in half. I'm not going to sell for a year. Great. At the 6-month mark, you're going to hear from me a ton because I want to make sure that if it's truly a year, I'm there. But nobody starts the process of selling when they're ready. They start the process of selling 12 to 24 weeks before they've even contacted a realtor. So whatever they tell you, cut it in half and start there. Then you want to decide how much you're going to follow up with them. So if someone's 3 months out, you're probably going to talk to them every other week, if not every week. They're 6 months out, you might stretch that for the first 3 months. You're only going to talk to them bi-weekly or monthly. And then when they get into that 3 months grid, you're going to talk to them weekly. You're going to let them know what the market's doing. You're going to send them stats. You're going to send them if anyone in the neighborhood. That's a great idea as well. Put it on your list. Any seller, any lead seller that you have that you're working, set yourself up a search in the neighborhood that they're currently in, or put them on the neighborhood nurture plan within Command. And then you're going to reach out to them when something happens in their neighborhood. Simple conversation. Hey, Lisa, I just saw that your neighbor sold. It was over on 123 Main Street. I just wanted to call you quickly and let you know that that 3-bed, 2-bath sold for $1.2 million. It's a very similar home to yours. I just want to keep you updated on what's happening in the market. I'll talk to you next week. Simple, easy, but keeping them in. No problem, Michelle. So keep that in mind, right? These are things you can do for your sellers that other agents just aren't going to do. And if you don't think you're the only one nurturing them, guess what? It's not just you. They're signed up on multiple agents' websites. They're getting data everywhere else, but we're going to start with the pre-listing package. That was our next step. Now, keeping in mind the first 2 to 3 chapters of this is very heavy on this side of stuff. And then we lighten up as we get into offers and some of that stuff. We're not going to be doing any offer training today, but I just wanted to ask, is anyone on the call running a pre-listing package? Stevie, Steph, Wayne. Okay. Good. That's actually the most I've ever had. Usually there's only one person on the call for all the times I've done this session. We've had rooms of up to 75 people, and most agents still aren't running a pre-list, which is absolutely incredible to me. I was hoping Michelle would be back because this is going to be a part of her process that I'm sure she missed with those 2 listings.
She's hopping right back on now. She was just having some difficulties.
Okay. All right. So I'll wait to kind of jump in that and to show ours. Oh, there she is. Awesome. So the pre-listing package is designed to be something that can help you get all the heavy lifting done. Now, if you have a powerful pre-listing package, it's going to cover the dirty work, all the things that people might object to, and all the things people know about you. This is from mega agent Gene Rivers. He's a millionaire real estate agent as well. And obviously they do a lot of business as well. Michelle, I was thinking about you when we came to this, where you mentioned, talking about what are some things you can add. Are you currently running a pre-listing package? You're muted, sorry.
I did an update last month, and I was currently working on it at the time I did this listing appointment. I was second in, and I knew they were interviewing 3. The first one they already said no to. And so I have an updated pre-listing package.
Did it go out to those 2 appointments?
No.
So you weren't actually you were missing some of the steps.
Some valuable information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I was wondering. That's kind of why I brought it up, and it took a moment to kind of slow down before diving into it, was whether or not you were running one of those, and if you had a chance to get it to those appointments. And I'm gonna bet there was some value there that you would have normally given that probably threw you off a little bit. Yeah. So part of your pre-listing package should include your value proposition. Now, and it's going to speak to your sellers, satisfy their needs, add value to their lives, and add value to the transaction. And this is just a slightly bit different than the unique selling proposition. Now, that's going to be your professional background. It's going to also be your education, your special interest, any talents, skills, accreditations. This is the sell piece of who you are in that package. Now, for those of you that are running pre-listing packages, what do you have in there? Wayne, I know you mentioned you had one. What do you have in your pre-list?
I've got an opening letter. I've got a achievements piece. I put our service guarantee in there. I have a list of all of the things they're going to get. It's a kind of a checklist. I include a sample feature sheet. I include my sales stats. I pull those from Treb, and I include those as well.
And you ever show up to an appointment after dropping your pre-list off and they're ready to work with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That does happen, folks. If you do it right and you've done all the sell and they get the package, when I ask that question, I know we're missing a bunch of people that haven't made it back in yet, but I'm going to guarantee you there's a lot of people that aren't using a pre-list. And I'm going to guarantee you that most agents not at Keller Williams aren't using a pre-list. So if you're going on an appointment and you've taken time to show up 24 hours ahead of everybody else to drop off your package, some of the, Wayne gave some examples, we'll give you some examples here in a second, you're going to set yourself apart from every other realtor. And we've had instances where we've included the paperwork with the commission right in there. When we show up for the listing and it's filled out. They took the time to fill out the paperwork And so when we get there for listing appointment, it's just, hey, great, this is already signed and ready to go. Now let's talk about the process and go in. How nice would that be to have your listing ready, signed before you even show up? So I'll share some of what we have in ours. So we've taken the guesswork out of it. We've gone and created a bit of a package. Now this is going to be in that link that you guys have in the chat room. So it's all going to be there. It's called our home selling system. We talk about the 3 Ps and then the 4th and the 5th P straight out of bold. We talk about our listing system commitment. We talk about all the dates when everything is going to happen, from the marketing video all the way down to offers, open houses, what our plan is. We give them a checklist. So again, we're taking care of those high Cs. We tell them what our open house commitment is going to be. We tell them what they need to do as a seller. And then we tell them any final steps that need to happen once we get the listing signed and ready to go. We also include a couple of great sponsorships that we've done. So we've got one with the Brick. Again, guys, any of you can go and do this. Go talk to your sales reps at the Brick. This is a brick builder package. So we get special pricing on furniture, appliances, etc. We also did that with one of the local companies here where we got them to do $1,000 off. It's a really expensive furniture store, St. Jacobs Furnishing. Everything is solid wood and super expensive. So they get $1,000 off. So we throw that in there for them for some additional value. We've got our commitment. So we've got a full page flyer with our commitment, and on the back, it talks about our easy exit agreement. Sellers want to know they can leave you if they're not happy. We don't hide from it. We let them know nobody's going to be held to anything. And then we throw in some testimonials in there as well. We put features of all our agents. So we make sure that that's in there so they know that it's not just one person. We use what's called a seller survey. This is one of the great ones that allows us to walk around the home while they're filling this out and for us to go look through the eyes of a buyer. There's a lot of things in here. And one of my favorite ones is I know that the average realtor sells 6 or less homes every year. Yes or no. So it sets the tone for them that, you know, we are outperforming the rest of the industry, and it gives us even more information in that appointment. This is done strategically at the start of every one of our appointments. And the reason that we do that is I've asked the seller to complete the survey. But what I've secretly done is I've told their brain that I'm in charge and that they're going to do what I've asked them to do. You're going to fill out this piece of paper for me, which sets the tone that I'm the dominant one in the room and I'm here to lead the appointment. The other thing that we include is a getting to know your realtor questionnaire. Now, in all my years of real estate of using this, I've used this for over a decade. I've only ever been asked once the questions on this by the client, but what I know is it's going to trip up the other realtors that they're interviewing. So Michelle, that could have been really helpful in your pre-list as well, because it's going to have some questions in there for some other realtors. Now, if you're going to use this one, again, make sure that you can answer them yourselves, because some pretty hard-hitting questions in here, like what lead generation systems have you developed to create an inventory of buyers to help sell your listings? Imagine asking an agent at another company that. They're not going to know what to say. It's also going to ask them about market trends. It's going to ask them about online advertising, et cetera, et cetera. So that one always proves to be really good. We've got a bunch of our 5-star reviews that we highlight on there as well. We've got our listing information checklist. So again, if that's filled out when you get there, you already have a listing. It's going to tell them everything. Do they want professional photos? Do we need a termite inspection? What's the best contact information? Any restrictions on the showings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When this one's filled out, we know right out of the gate we got the listing. The other thing we include is a 132-point marketing plan. Again, you guys can all have this. It's nothing special, but what it does is it's another checklist for those sellers, those high Cs, and it tells them every single thing that we are going to do through the listing process to get through their home. And then one of the last things we add in is our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. If you don't have one, you should create one. And it just tells the seller who you are, what your values are, and how you're going to resonate with them. We find that people go right to the belief section of that. You know, ethics, do the right thing, quality matters most, who we are, first-class service, relationships, et cetera, et cetera. And that is our pre-listing package. And then we'll include a copy of the paperwork with their name on it and our commission filled out. And we drop that off 24 hours in advance. Goes into one of these envelopes. We write their name, their address. We write a little note and we include a thank you letter. And we just say, please read through this before our appointment tomorrow at blank time. If you have any questions, reach out to us. So not only does it confirm the appointment, it sets us apart. It comes from gratitude. It does all the heavy lifting. It goes through the value proposition, why they should work with us. It goes through the unique selling proposition, who we are and what we've done, tells them about all our ratings and reviews, and it does 90% of the selling. And when we get there, one of the things that we say to them is, have you reviewed that? They say yes. We say, well, today is about you. You now know about me. I want to now get to know about you, what your needs are, and how we can best help you sell your home faster with more money than anyone else. And when you do that, you're going to set yourself head and shoulders above every other realtor out there, just by using that and by making sure that you're dropping it off ahead of time. Any questions around the pre-list?
I love that you say that this is, you know everything about me and today is about you. That's gold right there, bro. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, they love it, right? We're not here for us. Because here's the thing, I'm going to tell you, most of the realtors are going to go in and make it about that. Look at me, I've got a this, I've got a that, I did that. It's all about them. Nobody's coming in and saying to these buyers and sellers, hey, you know what? It's about you. It's about your needs. It's about what you want to do next. And that line, we've won so many appointments just on that. Oh my God, nobody's ever said that to me before. Right? And when you make your consultations, and you'll notice that in my next point, it's called a listing consultation. Because the goal there is to sign a listing agreement, have a win-win relationship, and then handle any objections. So you want it to be about them. It's a consultation. Thanks, Stevie. It is. It changes the conversation. It changes how they feel about it. Wow, you're not here to just sell me. Great. I actually matter. Where I want to go matters. What I need for my house matters. And so it changes the way the consultation goes and everything goes through it. So let's jump into the consultation. So again, 5 strategies for a great listing consultation. Step 1, know your scripts and materials. Not using scripts because they don't want to sound insincere. We hear that all the time. All the time. Here's the truth to that myth. Scripts only sound that way when you don't know them. Scripts only sound that way when you don't know them. A lot of you guys would know Jim Reitzel, maybe not. Jim used to say to me at one point, everything we say is a script. Some of it's just more rehearsed. I used to have that same thing. I don't want to use scripts. It don't sound like me. All right. Like everybody else. I was there once upon a time as well. And then what I realized is everything we do say, right? I mean, if you take bold, or if you know about PETFAR, programming leads to our thoughts, leads to our feelings, actions, and results. Well, it's just that programming piece. And the reason we lose in appointments is because our clients out objection handle us. Simply what it is. They give us more objections than we know how to tackle, and then they prove to themselves that they don't want to work with us. So practice your scripts, practice your objection handlers every single day. I don't even know how many different scripts and objection handlers we're up to anymore in our toolkit with our team, but it's something we do every single day. We have a team scripting call every day from 8:30 to 9, breakout rooms, we practice, and we bring objection handlers to those conversations. The second thing you want to do is understand the market. What's the average days on market in your area, Stevie?
I actually don't know right now, but I also haven't been selling the last little bit, so don't pick on me on that.
Fair.
Ask Wayne.
I know Wayne knows. I didn't want to give him another one. Wayne, what's the average days on market right now?
Actually, I think it's about 16, but I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest with you.
Bad.
For sure.
Okay, who on the call knows the average days on market in the area right now?
My area, it's 8.
There it is, Steve. Okay, Got the newbie in the room out here. Come on, Wayne. Steve, that's great. And I'm glad you know that. If you're going in on appointments, this is just good information to have, right? How much inventory is on the market, right? How much inventory is there? If another house didn't list between now and the end of whenever, how long would it take to sell every home? What's the attrition rate on the market right now? All right, what's the days on market? What's the market doing? Is it up? Is it down? Et cetera, et cetera. Be the economist of choice for your clients. Stats don't lie. It's going to help you price that. Again, use those communication techniques that work and build a successful customer relationship. So make sure you're listening. We talk ourselves out of more business than any other industry out there. We ask a question and we start talking to them in the question. Ask a powerful question, shut the hell up. All right. Use open-ended questions, stay in curiosity and don't interrupt them. Hopefully you all know the difference between a closed question that's just going to give you a yes or a no versus an open-ended question that's going to give you conversation. You want to mirror and match. All right. So if someone takes a drink, you don't have to take a drink, but you might touch your cup within the next minute or so. They sit back and fold their arms. At some point, touch your arm, cross your hands. They sit with their legs crossed, mirror and match. It tells the brain that they're like me. I'm like them and they're like me. I really should like this person. Pulls the walls down. All right, tells them that we're all on the same wavelength. Be a consultant. This is a big one. Don't just be there to sell them, be a consultant. When you get really, really good at this, you're going to take appointments and sometimes you're going to walk out because the best thing for the seller is not to sell their home. You do it long enough, you'll save a few marriages. You may cause a divorce or two. But what you're doing is you're consulting and you're letting them know that, hey, maybe selling isn't the right thing. Listening to them. I've had that example where I've had people that were splitting up call me in on an appointment, and by the time I've left, they didn't sell the house and they actually went and worked on their relationship. And those are some of my clients for lives. They send me referrals every time someone mentions real estate. Oh, you got to call my guy. I'm their guy. Right? I've had people I had a client very recently, and again, I'm not active in the field as much as I used to be, but once in a while, just to keep my skills sharp, I go on an appointment with our people. We went on one, and it actually made more sense for them to duplex the home and make it into a cash cow than it did instead of selling it. I had a contractor ready to help them. I had a contact at the city. I gave them how to duplex it in the plan. And I consulted with them all the way through. Since then, that was about 4 months ago. And since then, we've had probably 2 or 3 referrals from them just because of that. So you don't always have to go for the jugular. Be that consultant. Listen, ask a lot of questions rather than telling them what to do. Help them self-discover that this is the right decision. Set expectations with them. And then seek agreements to get into alignment with them. And then the last thing, prepping for these listing consultations, is to have an appointment toolkit. Have some stuff in the car ready to go at all times. All right, that might be something simple. You might have a measuring tape, a listing agreement, a pre-list package, and a handful of things in your car at all times that you can list the house today. If you don't have an appointment toolkit, create one. It's pretty easy. Lots of different things you can throw in there. Doesn't have to end at any one thing. And it might have different things, right? You might have a camera, your phone, just to take a quick social media post, flashlights, screwdrivers, pliers in case there's something you need to fix quickly. You might have a listing agreement. You might have a data form. You might have a general stuff, flip books, pre-list packages, maps, business cards, pens, pencils, et cetera, et cetera. For those of you installing your own signs, you got your sign in the car, you got a sold sign with you, coming soon, exclusive, all the things that you need if you had to get a listing up right away. Now we're in the consultation. So I'm going to start picking up the pace a little bit as we get into this next section. Like I mentioned, we're heavy in the front half, lighter in the second half. So the first step is to make sure you confirm the appointment. Do not sleep on that. Make sure you actually have an appointment. I have shown up before and the people go, what are you doing here? We had an appointment today at 3. No, we didn't. It's next week, or you missed it yesterday. That's happened to me before as well. So always, always, always confirm your appointment. Adopting a yes mindset. Now, one of the simplest ways to do that, I know this book talks a lot about appointments. Drop the word appointment. Say you're going to a signing. What do you got tonight? I got a listing signing. Not going for an appointment. An appointment means there's an option to not win. So you're going on a signing. Adopt that yes mindset. Number 3, obviously enter and tour the home. Arrive early. Don't knock on the door before your appointment. You'll cause them anxiety. Anyone that's ever worked with a seller who has kids, you know they're packing up the toys and putting dinner away and shoving everything in the oven just to make the home presentable for you. You show up 10 minutes early, you're going to cause them anxiety and grief. Park down the road, pull up to the house with a minute or 2 left. Ding dong. Hey, we had an appointment at 7. It's now 7 o'clock. Look at your watch when you do that if you are going to use that line. Enter and tour the home like I mentioned. Don't go in unless they say, please come in. Don't just barge your way in there and take charge of that agenda, yet do so respectfully. Thank you for inviting me to apply for the job today of getting your home sold. That is a trial close. Make sure you're using it. All right, and then you jump in. Let me ask you a question. Did you get my pre-listing package? Hopefully you've had a chance to go through it thoroughly. And did you do your homework as I asked? Wonderful. Let me ask, did you have any questions for me? Great. Now let's sit down and go over why this is about you, your home, and your needs. And then you ask where to be. So you don't assume and never sit in the living room if at all possible. Try to be at the table and ask the question, do you mind if I set my things down here? Because you never know. Sometimes families have different places they like to sit. You might choose a chair that's the husband's chair or the wife's chair. Now they don't want to work with you because you just plunked your butt down in the spot that they feel most comfortable in, and they've got to sit in the wobbly chair at the end of the table that was meant for you. So ask, is it okay for me to set my stuff down here? Because they'll let you know where they need you to be. But what you've also told them is you respect them. Again, back to that, making it about them. I respect you so much. I'm not just going to stick my stuff here. I want your permission before I put my stuff down. Then you want to do that walkthrough like I mentioned. When I talk about entering and touring. So the seller survey that we mentioned in our pre-list, that gives them something to work on. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you okay if I just take a quick look through your home? I want to look at it through the eyes of a buyer. Now, before we're done today, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you give me an official tour where you're going to let me know everything that I'm going to put on the feature sheet and to highlight your property when we get your home listed. Trial close, guys. Trial close. I'm closing them all the way through that appointment. And that one works really beautifully. I take a quick look through your home through the eyes of the buyer, but then I want you to tour me around and tell me everything that I'm going to put on the feature sheet and your property highlight video. I'm in their heads now. Now they're thinking, wow, okay, yeah, what are the things we want? So now they're not thinking about another agent or commission. They're thinking about what are all the things we want to make sure we tell him for that feature sheet and that video. Again, why we trial close all the way through this. Then you want to begin that conversation with them. So one of the things that'll happen in today's meeting is you'll decide to list with me today. You'll decide to price the home at a price that'll help your home sell, or I'll decide whether or not I'm willing to take your listing. That's that piece that all of a sudden they straighten up for. What do you mean take my listing? Well, you see, Mr. Seller, I'm not sure that I'm the best fit for you, yet throughout today, we're going to figure out that conversation if we're a great fit for each other. Now, that is a bold statement to say, so you have to be prepared to back it up if you're going to go down that path. Now, I know if I do everything right, it's going to set me apart from most other realtors, which is why I feel confident saying that. I've used that for about the last 7 years. I learned it in bold, and it has always stuck with me. But again, that's another trial close. I've had people say to me, well, whoa, we're not sure if we want to list our home yet. Yeah, that's no problem. We're just trying to figure out if we're going to be a good fit for each other today. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to create a trust relationship, confidence, and you're taking responsibility and ownership of the appointment today. They're also going to spend some time understanding their needs and working through that. And that happens in number 5, where we uncover and prioritize those needs. Helping that customer articulate their expectations, what they want from us, respond to any of the surprises that might come on so you can tackle those objections head on, clarify their needs, asking tons of questions, going 3 deep in anything that they say to you. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, how soon would you like to move? Why is that important? What will that do for you getting to the new cottage by this date? And what will that ultimately do for you and your family when we get your home sold by the end of April? Again, that's another trial close. And if you do this right, you click on that link in there, our entire listing presentation is in there. You'll see there's so many trial closes all the way through, and we go 3 deep in all our conversations as we go through. We also spend time prioritizing those needs with them, checking for commitment all the way through. Now, one of the ways we do that is we say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, up to this point, and we do this, I believe it's 10 different times through our presentation. Is there something that another realtor has promised you to do that we haven't spoken about yet? Always said he'd put me in the real estate book. Grab a pen, write it down, real estate book. Perfect. That will get you in there too. I said he'd do a drone photography. She said she would do a video out front. Great. I'm just making notes all the way through. We're going to do all that stuff for you and more. Now I've tackled what that other realtor said they would have done. Michelle, I know that was something another realtor was in. That would have been a great question for you. Hey, is there something that I haven't mentioned yet today that another realtor has said they would do for you? The other thing it's going to do is going to let you know why you lost and what your competition's offering. Helps you be better all the way through. So you're just looking for positive or negative signs as you're checking for that commitment. Little things. Do you have any questions or concern about the listing process? That's another one you could use. Are you ready to put me to work for you today? What do we got to do to put a sign on your lawn? What needs to happen for us to get into business today? These are all check-ins for commitments all the way through the appointment. Then you want to handle any of those objections. Again, we played that game earlier with Wayne. Some differences between a question and an objection. Just make sure you are handling an objection, not just a question. Because if you do that wrong, you'll lose them in there. Be calm, be logical. Don't be attached to the outcome. And isolate the objection. Isolate it. Wayne, outside of 4% commission, is there any other reason that we aren't going to get into business today? And it's usually, nope, that's the only thing. Isolate that objection. All right. Outside of drone photography for your home, is there any other reason why we won't get into business today together? All right. And because once you've handled that objection, you go right back to the close. I've answered your question. We've talked about it. You see the value in me. You see the value in why I charge 6%. There's nothing else to talk about. Let's go ahead and get the paperwork signed. You just told me there was nothing else. It's one of the beauties of handling objections and then isolating that objection. Then you want to set expectations. Here's what's going to happen next. We're going to have our stager reach out and she's going to book that consultation. Our client care department's going to reach out and get you booked in for photography. We're going to have a sign here in the next 3 days, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Set the expectation and then meet it and exceed it. Then you want to negotiate to resolve any issues. Sometimes you say things, it doesn't quite work out. Make sure that you let the seller know that you care, you understand, and you're going to hear them out. And then lastly, close again. Close, 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 close. Is there any reason not to move ahead with this? Is there anything we need to do before we sign the paperwork? Do you think I'm capable of selling your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time? Close. Now you win. Woo! Say thank you. Come from gratitude. Always, always, always come from gratitude. Option 2, you didn't get it. Guess what? Reach back out to them. Find out what you missed, what you could do better. There's an opportunity to learn here. Don't be attached to that outcome. And then the last option is they defer you. They're not quite ready to list, et cetera, et cetera. Any questions around the consultation piece of things? I know I went through that pretty quickly. Happy to slow down for a minute for anyone. See a lot of writing, a lot of thinking.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you drop off your a pre-listing package that has your listing presentation basically in it and leave it with them. There's 2 different viewpoints on that. Some choose not to ever leave it with the sellers, that it's proprietary. Are you, obviously you're not afraid of any other realtors seeing it and picking it up and shaking your head?
No, because here's the thing, they're not going to do anything with it.
No.
The occasional realtor might take it and replicate it. How often am I going to meet that agent at the table?
And I'm coming from a much smaller community, so.
Yeah, and I've seen that
Well,
before.
right here.
I'll tell you, Lisa, I'm an abundance person. I always come from abundance. I always believe that there's more business for everybody, and that we'll all do okay. So I've kind of always taken that. And in fact, the realtors that don't leave it behind, I use it against them. I've worked in some of the smaller markets. We've worked up the coast as well. The local agent there is the agent of choice, and tell them not to share it and things like that. At the end of the day, kind of like this presentation, I don't really care. I'm going to give it to everybody. And if another realtor is going to use it and then I'm going to get into that appointment, one of the beautiful things I say is, oh, that's incredible that another realtor has that as well. They probably got it from us. We're happy. So we're an abundant team and we share everything with realtors all over the place. Now it switches it because I'm the expert of choice. That other realtor just borrowed my stuff.
And I like that you give it to them ahead, let them read it at their pace, because there's stuff in there that it's just going to be, they're going to be drinking from the fire hose. So they have a chance to digest it before you get there. And then you can say the line that you shared with us, that all about me. Now let's hear about you and your home.
Exactly. And see, those are those little things that those other realtors taking my stuff won't do.
Right.
They're not going to drop it off a day early. They're not going to write them a thank you letter. They're not going to do any of that stuff. They're just going to hope and pray that it works because they really don't understand the system around it. They're just stealing information. When you follow it in a system, it's there a day early. You've written on the front with their names. Again, remembering, only thing that comes in the mail is bad news or bills. So we don't get a lot of good stuff in the mail. Now you've opened it up and there's a nice little thank you card in there or a thank you letter. I'm coming from gratitude. The other realtors are going to miss all those points around that system and why it works really well. And then they're going to miss that line where I say, hey, you know all about me. Let's talk about you. Because even if they use it, they're going to then think the pre-listing package is still part of their sales and they're going to use it as their sales pitch. Look at me, look at me, look at me. No, it's not about me. It's about you. And that's why I don't really carry any weight to it. And in all the people I've given it to, less than 10% of people actually use it, which tells me that no matter how many realtors have it, less than 10% are going to actually implement it and use the system in the way it's designed.
Cool.
And that's not a dig at anyone. I hope everybody here uses it and proves me wrong and becomes the first group that 100% implements that system, but it's never happened. And so I don't worry about what another realtor does because I know they're not going to check the temperature in the room. They're not going to ask the seller and make it about them. They're not going to trial close them all the way through the appointment. They're not going to do any of the other stuff because they're not here with you guys and they're not learning how to implement these things into their business.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Steve, what do you got for me?
I just want to go on this consultation thing too, or the pre-listing package. Like, obviously I'm a new agent and I know you hear it all the time, like you could leverage your brokerage to help you with, if you don't have sales and stuff like that, but like, is there any other strategies that you could use to like maybe set you apart from like other agents that are more seasoned than you are?
Steve asked me a question. How long have I been in the industry?
You're about 14 years or so?
Okay, I was a new agent once upon a time as well.
Yeah.
So what I coach and train agents to do is answer the question in a way. So one of the ways we answer it is, oh man, I'm so happy you asked that. Some days I feel like I'm brand new and some days I feel like I've been doing this for 30 years. And then I just ask them another question and I move on.
Okay.
Your time in the market doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing that I used to say is, listen, I can completely appreciate that. What I'm going to let you know is I'm a professional. I know what I know and I know what I don't know. When I know, I'll share it with you. And when I don't know, I'll ensure that I go get you the right answer. See, I work in a great brokerage where everyone is here to help you sell your home. It's not just going to be me. And so my years of experience is irrelevant to this conversation, as I'm the best person to help sell your home in the shortest amount of time for the most amount of money. But if you prep yourself, Steve, if you have the pre-list, if you set up the pre-appointment and you carry yourself as a professional, and then you deliver the listing presentation in a way that is confident and strong, people won't actually ask you about how long you've been doing it.
Right.
They just don't anymore because you're a professional. You've shown up as a professional. You've done things other realtors have done. You've got a presentation. It's practice. It's rehearsed. You know your scripts. You know your objection handlers. It really, really doesn't matter.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
No,
But yes, if not, use the stats of your brokerage. All right. And we're a unique company in that we're a profit sharing company. And so it's in everybody's best interest to help you sell your home, not just myself. So we've got over 200 realtors at the office. When I leave here today, I'm going to let you know about your listing, and we're all going to be working to help sell your home today. Hopefully some of those ones help. Stephanie, I also do a follow-up mail out for the thank you letter. So there's a thank you letter in the pre-list package that just says, I appreciate the opportunity to come in for the position of selling your home. Again, there's a trial close in that letter. And then on the back end, after the appointment, we mail them out a thank you card with a card in there again. Thank you for having us through your home. And then we add something personal. It was great to meet your cat, Toby. Is it something that's going to connect us in a relationship with that person? We look forward to working with you, Boom, that's in the mail. 3 days later, follow-up call. Hey, I just wanted to follow up and make sure that the post office got that mail out to you. Have you received it yet? Okay, great. Thank you. Just wondered if you had any other questions from our appointment, our consultation that I can go over with you today. So it also gives me a reason to call them on the back end as well. All right, servicing and marketing. Getting into some of the fun stuff, and then we'll wrap here. As I mentioned, these ones aren't too crazy. So what a seller wants is for you to sell their home for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of headaches, period. That's it. That's what they want. How you do that is what's going to be important, but that is what they're after. So you're going to have 3 things to focus on. The first one is the purpose. So great service begins with a clear purpose for why someone should work with you. Back to that unique selling proposition. That can be different for every other person. But what is your purpose? Masters of service have a clear understanding of why they should be hired, and they can articulate it to anyone. For us, it's the fact that we sell more homes than most other realtors in the region. We also know that on average, we average 5% more for our sellers than the average real estate agent. And so by putting us to work, not only are you going to make more money, we are going to out-communicate everybody else. And we're going to give you everything to sell your home for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of headaches. That's our purpose. We're just clear about it. The value proposition is going to lay out in detail all the services the seller was going to receive. So if I go back to that seller package, that home selling system that I mentioned, on that back page where we talk about all the dates, both pages tell them everything that you're going to get, the additional stuff, how we're going to promote your home and prospect around your neighborhood. And then there's a list of everything that's going to happen through the listing process, how many eyes are going to be on your listing We've got from 50,000 to 100,000 people on our social media. We've got a database reach of over 25,000. We've got neighborhood awareness, one of the top agents in the region. So other realtors want to help us sell our homes. It's all part of our value prop. And then that fiduciary duty to place the seller's interest ahead of all other interests, even your own. That's a RICO stipulation. It's not just us, it's also in there. And so ensuring that you are nailing these 3 levels of service, you'll kill it every time. Your service standards is a measure of how it is. Keeping in mind that I'm going to tell you, your clients, the myth, I hear this all the time, only I can deliver my service. My clients will only work with me. They're loyal to me. Get that out of your head. Clients aren't loyal to you. They're loyal to your standards. So what are your standards? All right. Back to that other one. Your standard is a yardstick of your performance. It's to measure how well you're performing. As an example, a communication standard. All right, you ever call the Keller Williams office? It's a great day. Thanks for calling Keller Williams. That's a standard created by Gary Keller. Happens every single time you call the Keller Williams office. That's consistency. I know that no matter where in the world I call, I will probably 99% of the time, that will be how they answer the phone. So what are your communication standards? When a client emails you, when will you get back to them? If they call you between 9 and 12 and you're lead generating, do you have a time that you're going to call them back at? Do you respond to all inquiries within the first 5 minutes? What are your professional standards? And don't be afraid to tell them about it. And then obviously there's your team service standards that'll differ. And that we've seen all kinds of different things from team services. And then you want to make sure that you've got a marketing plan and a marketing message for them. We talked about, 132 ways to sell your home. That's a marketing plan. What's the message? So research shows that if your lead generation program consistently delivers seller listings, you can count on your marketing to deliver your buyers. Top agents don't focus on buyers. They don't look for them. They don't want them. They work with them, but it's not the primary focus. Their primary focus is listings. You ever hear the story list to last? That's where that comes from. And then obviously you want to make sure you're in budget, red light, green light. You're going to look at staging as part of your marketing. If you're not staging or having a staging consult, you're doing it wrong. Find a stager, work something out with them, start offering consultations. You never have to be the bad guy again. You don't like the fuchsia color on the wall. You don't say it, have the stager say it. Leverage your stager in order to do that stuff for you. And keeping in mind that staging a home creates a definite increase in the price on the offers. Now, 32% of realtors said they saw a 1 to 5% increase in offers. 16% of realtors saw a 6 to 10% increase in their offers. And the rest saw an 11 to 15% increase in their offers. In this market, in a shifting market, it's more important your staging and your pricing than ever before. I'll leave that there for anyone that wants to write it down. And when your seller says to you, well, why do I have to stage the home? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you aware that just by staging the home at a very minimum, you could see up to 5% more than your neighbors do? We also have realtors out there experiencing 11 to 15%. You sure you don't want to stage your home? Or at least have my stager come through for a consultation? That's one of our standards. We talked about that a few seconds ago. Standards, that's one of them. Before you go to market, I don't care how perfect your home is. My stager is going to come visit you anyway. She might do nothing. We just want another set of eyes on the property to make sure that your home is positioned to get the most amount of money. Our team will reach out and book that consultation. It's a standard. Keeping in mind that if we don't sell it, which we sold everything over the last 3 to 4 years, However, if in a tilted market, we're already seeing houses come off, we're seeing cancellation happen, there's a cost to that for not selling the home. So make sure you're staging it. And then you want to price in the market. Not above it, not below it, in the market. You price it too low, you're going to piss off the buyers. You price it too high, they're not going to want to work with you. So you want to price it in a way that is reflective of the market that you're in. Don't be afraid, just be professionally honest around everything through that process. Any questions here before we move on? Any ahas, any questions? Okay. Offers and negotiations. Now we've got the house on the market. We've got people coming through. It's offer time, baby. So you want to make sure you just follow those best practices. Like I mentioned, we move quickly at this part. So stop me if you have any questions. Best practices for presenting the offer. Never reject an offer without talking to your seller. As a broker of record, I feel it's important to say that. Never reject an offer without talking to your seller. Even if you know they won't look at it. Make sure that they do it, because the last thing you want to hear is a RICO complaint and the seller find out you didn't tell them about that offer that they may have taken or may have looked at. You want to make sure you present it as quickly as possible. This is a big one for me. Be non-judgmental and enthusiastic about any offer. You didn't write the offer on the other side. Why are you upset about it? Take yourself out of that equation. I see so many realtors do that. Oh my God, I can't believe that realtor sent me this. Who cares? Be non-judgmental. They're just doing their jobs for their buyers, the same as you're doing for your seller. And then, especially in this shifting market, don't be afraid to sign it back and negotiate. I had a realtor the other day we had to do that with. We had to walk through the conversation about how to send a sign back. The market's been so crazy, we haven't had to negotiate for a little while. It's time to sharpen those skills. All right, that's the reality that we're dealing with. You might send an offer back to a buyer and they don't even know why you sent it back to them. They might think you're rejecting them. Pick up the phone, have a conversation. Hey, my seller really wants to work with you. You're just a little light on price, so we're going to send it back to you. Talk to your buyers and let's have a conversation. Then obviously you do have the multiple offer situation. Moment of truth before I move on. Make sure you're doing the seller net sheet for them. Asking price, where the offer is, what the difference is between it, what their mortgage payouts are, et cetera, et cetera. Don't be afraid to have that conversation so they know what they're getting. They have a number in their head. And we need to take $300,000 out of this house to do our next purchase. But they've told you they need $400,000 or $500,000. You don't know. So don't make assumptions, share the offer and have it with them. Then in multiple offers, again, I have to say it, broker record, make sure that you are acting fair and ethically. Make sure that you let everyone know there's multiple offers. Make sure that you let them know if they're in multiple representation, if anyone from your team or your brokerage is presenting an offer, and let them know by when you'll respond to those offers. I've seen more RICO complaints in the last 2 years than I've seen in the last 10 years. It's absolutely crazy right now. I've talked to my RICO rep. It's wild what's happening there. So just make sure that you're covering your butts all the way through this process with multiple offers. And then lowball offers, again, like I said, they're just doing what they need to. It's not your job. Don't put any energy to it. Just present it to your seller. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I got an offer for you. Here are our 3 options. We can accept, we can reject, or we can actually counter. Nothing else to it. Get a lowball offer, maybe you sign it back at full price and you send it back. Allows the buyer to put their best foot forward. So respond to the offer. These are the ways you do it. I'll leave that up for a second if anyone needs to take a picture of that. This is where we're heading back to, folks. Negotiations. Above all else, in your negotiations, be professional. Remember, your goal is to get a signed contract. Control what you say through the process, remembering there's other parties here. Don't create any anxiety in the buyers or the sellers. Continually refer back to your seller's motivation, why they wanted to do this, especially in this tilted market. You're going to have a lot of these ones. On the other side of the table with that other agent, shut up. You're the seller agent, listen more than you talk. Buyer agents will tell you everything sometimes. If you're the buyer agent, again, don't give up too much about your purchasers. And finally, don't be attached to the outcome. You're going to do thousands or hundreds of transactions in your career. There's no way you're going to get every single one. Just don't be attached to that outcome. All right. And then lastly, finalizing that contract, everything you need to do. Now, obviously, it's a little bit different if you're working outside of Ontario, but definitely in Ontario, make sure that everything's initialed. You've got all addresses correct, anything in the chattels, any exclusions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nail it down. All right, because if you don't, A, you could get yourself on the hook, and B, the buyer might try to walk from the deal. Well, I didn't know the hot tub wasn't included. It's on the listing, it's in the pictures. What do you mean I don't get the hot tub? You can tell that's a common one. Make sure you document it. What I used to always say to my buyers and sellers, put everything in writing, let the other party stroke it out. As a buyer or a seller, let the other party tell you you can't have it. Now, contract to close, fairly easy, but you want to make sure that you're bulletproofing the transaction. Take the everything will go wrong approach and assume that all the way through. Do whatever you can to prevent them from happening or deal with them if they do come up. Now, we're going to see a lot of these things, obviously title, inspection, your loan agreement, completion dates, and then possession dates. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on all these things. You can't do anything about title, but it's just a question to your sellers. Mr. or Mrs. Seller, is there anything I need to know that may affect the closing of this property? Yeah, well, I didn't pay that roofer 10 years ago and there's a lien on title. Okay, well, we got to go get that off. That's a common one that comes up. So make sure that you're ahead of it. You're bulletproofing this transaction. Inspections, if you aren't doing them or if the buyer didn't do one, make sure that that buyer agent has their client understanding that this is a firm agreement. They understand that they've waived the right to do an inspection. Not going to turn around down the road, show up 3 weeks later with an inspector for a 1 hour walkthrough. Stevie, you're shaking your head. I know you've had that done. That's a common one. They love to do that to us and then try to renegotiate the deal. All right. So just make sure you're having that conversation with them. And if you really want to get ahead of it, spend the $200-300 and get a pre-inspection. Just get it out the way. By a reputable home inspector and be okay to provide that. All right. Make sure that you're asking questions. Hey, your client's buying this home. Who's their mortgage approval with? Is it a reputable person? Is it someone that is doing the deal? Is it a brand new mortgage broker that has no idea what they're doing? Might be a rep you already know and you already work with. RBC, Scotia, one of those ones that once they give you final approval, they don't check on it again. Make sure that you're prepped for completion date. Are your clients moving out that day? What time will they be out of the home? Do you have a cleaner coming up? Et cetera, et cetera. And then the lawyers will handle the possession date. So here's your keep the transaction together list. Again, that'll be in the workbook. If you go on the link that Sam has provided, just make sure you go through that and you're ahead of it. Have the conversation with your seller. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, if you're going to take these things off the wall and leave a bunch of holes in the wall, please just patch them and give them a quick sand. We'll touch up a paint. Last thing you want to have is a final walkthrough go completely sideways on you. It's the last thing you want to have. And I've had those. I've been negotiating deals on closing day because of something my seller did that I didn't know about. What do you mean they took all the built-in shelves in the garage? That's a fun one. Well, they didn't ask for it. Well, it's attached to the wall, guys. You got to put it back. That happens all the time. I had one recently where the seller switched out all the light fixtures, took them all, put in the cheapest ones they could find at Home Depot because they light their light fixtures. Well, guys, you can't do that. That they bought the home, they expect the home with those light fixtures. You got to go back and put them all back in. These are some fun ones that we've had. All right. I had a seller once that left half his furniture in the home on closing. I had to get a hold of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, have them immediately go over there. It cost me a pretty penny. We got it done though, right before closing. Sellers wouldn't click the button on the close for their lawyer until we had it all removed. These are things that will show up when you work with enough sellers, because the sellers don't think anything of it. That's not my problem anymore. See you later. Going home. Going to my new house, my new adventure, and they just leave. All right. I've purchased washers and dryers because I didn't do my due diligence. All right. Well, we have washer dryer in the contract. Yeah, but it's the tenants. I didn't tell you to put that in there. Oh, great. Well, now I'm buying a washer dryer. Never fun, guys. So make sure that you keep the transaction together. And remember that this is a golden opportunity for you to leave a lasting impression on your seller and on that potential buyer. Because most people, and I'm going to tell you this is going to come up in the post-close, most realtors do the deal and never talk to their clients again. It's a common problem. So you want to make sure that you're building your vendor database. You want to make sure that just because you weren't that realtor, someday you might reach back out to that seller after a few years and re-engage or door knock or whatever. A lot of people talk about the orphan program. We run one of those as well. So talk about the post-close systems and we'll wrap it up for any questions. So again, drop in contact with clients after closing. That's one of the common things that we see out there, leaving all the equity on the table instead of getting numerous deals, referrals, et cetera, et cetera. Don't be that realtor. Just don't be that realtor that doesn't stay in touch with their client. Call them, check in on them. What's the system? Right? What are some stuff that you can do in order to be there for them? What if every seller got a call from you 30 days after they move just to check in on the new home? All right. What's interesting as we talk about follow-up is almost 70% of clients say they would use or recommend the listing agent. Here's what's fun about that. 40% never did. They never referred you. They never told someone about you. Only 15% did once, and you'll see the rest of the numbers there. But most people won't refer you. Guess why? Because you didn't follow up with them. You didn't ask for a referral. So one of the things our client care team does is after you've been in the home for 30 days, you've moved to the new home, we call you. It's not always Sam, but in this case, hey, it's Sam calling. The reason I'm calling is just to check in with you. I know you've been in the home for about 30 days now. I just want to know if everything is as you planned. Is there anything we can help you with? Oh, and by the way, who do you know that we can help buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Because getting referrals is everybody's job. It's no one person's job in our organization. It's everybody's job. So what does your post-close look like? What does that follow-up system look like? Do they go right into your touch program? Are you sending them updates on the market? Are you telling them that the home that they just moved into, that they just moved out of, that new home, are you telling them what's sold in the neighborhood so they know they made a good decision? Are you calling them quarterly to check in? Did you send them the vendor list? If you knew they wanted to redo the bathroom, have you put them in touch with a contractor yet that does incredible bathrooms? What are you doing for your sellers in the post-close to ensure that you're going to get referrals? This stat blew my mind. 70% of clients said they would use their agent again, yet less than, if we add that, less than 55% of people ever sent a referral. How much money are you leaving on the table? right? How many people are you not in conversation with? All right, what are you doing? Are you sending them an anniversary gift? That's from the Hanlon team. The Hanlon team sends them an anniversary gift every year on their house anniversary. All right. One of the other things I've heard realtors do is on that house anniversary, they send them a picture of what the house looked like when they bought it. So they take all the pictures off MLS. I'm not telling anyone to do this, RICO rules, but hey, if you do it, that's on you. They print them out in an actual little binder with their team stuff on it, and they mail that to them on their 1-year anniversary. Gives them that reminder what the house used to look like, because it doesn't look that way anymore. So they have this nostalgic moment, and guess who they're thinking about? They're thinking about you. So there's a lot of little things that you can do through this process that can ensure that you get more referrals. And really the first one is asking for the referral. Asking for a recommendation. Asking for a Google 5-star review. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you're happy with what I've done, would you be willing to give me a review on Google? We have people call us and call our agents just because of our Google reviews. Happens all the time. Are you asking? And then there's your touch campaigns. I mentioned that already. So here's some things you can do in the post-close. Have you thanked them for working with you? Birthday cards, invites out to client events. And are you asking them for referrals? Again, you can train your clients to do this for you. They will get in the habit if you call them every month and ask for a referral. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I never want your friends at a weak moment to pick a weak agent. Will you think of me if anyone mentions they want to do anything in real estate? I used to train my clients, still do. They still call me with referrals. Listen, if someone's thinking about selling, do me a favor. Don't give them my information. What happens is they're not going to remember it. They're not going to remember who you said. And in a weak moment, they may pick a weak agent. So what I want you to do is I want you to pick up the phone and call me when you get that referral. Ask for permission. And if you could call me and give me their name and number, and I'll give them a call to make sure that they have a powerful agent in their corner working for them. I just train them. I train my people how I want to be treated. Stop giving out my number. They never call. You ever get those messages? Hey, I gave your number to so-and-so. Great. They're never going to call. So when I get those messages, I train those people. And then like everything else, I reward habits. I don't reward the listing. I reward the habit. It's going to sound really terrible, like I'm training a puppy. It's kind of the same thing. I'm rewarding the habit. So when you call me to send me a referral, you're going to get a gift card. Whether I go on the appointment, whether they call me, whether I sign it or not, you're going to get a gift card, the LCBO or Starbucks. I'm training the habit. I send a referral, I get something back, no matter the outcome. Because I'm not attached to the outcome. I just want to thank you for sending me a referral. I appreciate you. And sometimes I'll even write in the thank you card, hey, thank you for sending me over, Stevie and Mark. I really appreciate you. I'm meeting with them in 2 weeks. Thank you. Reward the behavior, not the outcome. You'll get way more referrals that way. And I know it sounds really terrible, but like I said, I'm training my clients on how I want them to work with me. So in conclusion, a seller service cycle, it's a cycle. Now remember, we started this with a mindset exercise. We talked about imagining yourself a year from now. Some point between now and the end of the weekend, it's Easter weekend, so I know you guys have time for it. None of us are working on Fridays. I want you to take the moment and write out your future. Now, the reason I have people do this, and I hope you do, again, I know a lot of people don't always take action on this, but one of the things that's really powerful when you write things down and set a goal is your subconscious goes to work for you. So write it out. I tell people this story all the time. My very first, sorry, it wouldn't have been my first bold. My last bold that I took before this in-person bold, I sat across the room from Sandy McKay. He was at the same table with me. Sandy and I were both on other people's teams. 6 years ago. We both wrote ourselves letters, part of the bold exercise. Sandy and I didn't just write one letter, we wrote 6 of them. We'll both tell you, and if when you have Sandy speak in your market center as well, you can ask him about it. Everything we've ever written to our future selves has come true. Everything we've written to our future selves. I wrote that I would lead a large organization of professional realtors servicing clients at a high level. I wrote that I would be in the top realtors in Canada. I wrote that I would eventually own a market center. I drew out a Disney map. That's right, Stevie, manifestation is real. So write that out. What is your perfect year from now? What does it look like? What does your business look like? Manifest it, and your subconscious will go to work at it for you. It works every single time. So don't be afraid to do that. Just spend some time with yourself and write out that perfect future. What does my business look like? And start taking action. Start somewhere. Reach out, use the stuff and the resources that we've put in the links for you guys. It's a reason we give it all away. So I hope that you use it and I hope that you change your life. So there's no secret to real estate. Follow the best models, implement the best systems, and commit to the best training. That's why you all are here today. Thank you. I'm going to open it up for questions. Anyone that wants to ask us anything about our business, Sam and I are both here. Sam also helps run our organization at an incredible high level and has spent the time building a lot of these systems out with me. I also want you to think about your accountability partners. Someone on this call could be your accountability partner. Don't be afraid to share those goals with them. If you don't want to do it there, there's your PC, there's your maps, lots of different coaches. If anything, just go tell Stevie. Tell her what your goal is. She'll hold you accountable to it. She'll remember. All right. Accountability is what changes lives. And then don't be afraid to revisit those goals. Don't be afraid to go back a year from now. Did I do what I said I was going to do? Did I do what I set out for myself? And that is the seller service cycle. Like I mentioned, it's a cycle. It's not a one-time event. And if you do this right every single time, not only are you going to sell that house, you're probably going to pick up a buyer through your marketing efforts. You're going to door knock the neighborhood who it just sold. You're going to do your job for your sellers. You're probably going to pick up another seller. They might not list right away, but you will pick up another seller. And that seller again may lead to another buyer and more opportunities. So don't just stop. Don't just get the listing. Woohoo, I'm done. Work the listing and turn that into opportunities for yourself so that you can have more and more opportunities. And you can think about it that way. Someone that wants to do 24 transactions, if I'm going to get 3 to 4 deals every time I take this up, I only need to go get 6 listings this year. If I go get 6 listings this year, I have the opportunity to do over 20 transactions. Doesn't seem so daunting now, does it? And what would 20 transactions do? I mean, average commission in your area is probably $20,000. 20 listings, 400,000 in GCI, minus fees, taxes, and what you leave in your prec. All of a sudden, you're netting $300,000. Pretty good life, guys. We have the opportunity in real estate to build any life that we want. Something I've taken advantage of. I hope you take advantage of it. And this is one of the ways to do it, is to focus on sellers and to do your best job for them. The more sellers you have, the more referrals you'll get, and it'll transform your business. I'll shut up now for anyone that has any questions.
I've got one for you, Andre. This was great, by the way. Tons of nuggets, just like it's all just gold. So the one thing that I really like to spend a lot of time on, just in my mind, is the pricing part of it. And I know that one step through, I'm just not smart enough to do all those calculations, lot size, roof, windows, all of that stuff, so how do you manage that piece, or do you give them a ballpark, and how does that work?
So I'm one of the few realtors I know that does a live consultation with them. And so this is also part of my strategy. Nobody else has to do this, but I found it works really well for me. I always have my laptop or my iPad and access to the market. And what I say to my seller is, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, any other agent can come in here with a predetermined price for your home, yet I'm not here to do that. Like I mentioned at the start of this consultation, this is about you. So what I want to do right now is I want to take a live look at the market. I'm going to grab my laptop. We're going to look through this thing together, and I'm going to show you what's actually happening on the market with your neighborhood right now. And we're going to go through each one of these listings, and we're going to find the ones that are just like your home. And together we're going to come up with a price that you're going to put on your home in order to get it sold. I never set the price.
You're using the what's currently on market or sold stats. So you
555. Yeah. So what we say is we're going to look at 555. We're going to look at 5 actives minimum. We're going to look at 5 of the recent solds minimum, and then we're going to look at 5 that maybe canceled, expired, or the seller really didn't get their price, had to do price adjustments up, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to look at all of these together, and then we're going to help you determine the price that we should list your home for.
Okay, cool.
And they always say to me, I always get it, well, that's why you're here. Well, here's the thing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you live here, I don't. So what we want to do is discover this together. So let's go take a live look at the market.
Cool, thanks.
I've done that for years, Wayne, and it's proven really, really well, because here's the reality. I know most realtors are going to pre-print it. I know that. I know that most realtors are going to come with a pricing picture and a CMA, and they're going to tell them what they think their house is worth. They're going to give them this big range, and it's really not going to resonate with them. So let's just look at it together. I'm going to show you the system, and let's do this together. And so I go through, I mean, you guys are on ITSO as well. I go through the entire ITSO or Stratus setup with them, and we do a live search. And I show them, I say, here's what's active in the last 30 days on your market. I don't care what happened 6 months ago. We'll go there if we can't find what we need to. But let's keep it really tight, and let's look at right now together. Here's what it does. It engages me in the conversation with them, because I'm going through the pictures with them. Okay, this one kind of looks like yours from the outside. Let's go through the pictures. Okay, look at that. Well, they've got hardwood floor. You've got laminate. Okay. Oh, that bathroom's completely redone. Yours isn't. Okay. And I'm setting the tone for where they should be thinking. And so by the time I get to the end of that, they usually know the house that's exactly like theirs. And then they take me back through it. Hey, remember that one on 123 Main Street? Can we look at that again? And I'll pull it up again, and then we'll go look at it, and they'll go, yeah, this one is exactly like mine. Okay, great. Well, it looks here, you know, they listed it for $799. They got $950. What do you think we should do? And every single time they go, well, let's do that. Let's do exactly what they did. And we get it every time. And then here's the thing. If it doesn't sell at that price, I didn't set the price. They set the price. Because remember, I start the appointment with 3 outcomes. Are you going to list with me? Are you going to set a price for your home that's going to allow it to sell? Or am I going to choose to take your listing? So that's in their head, in the back of their head, all the way through the appointment. So they're going, you know, the price that I set at this, here's the price I set. So I have no attachment to the price. And I've been doing that in a shifted market. I was doing that when it was, you know, 60 days on market to sell a home. I was always doing it. I've always done a live consultation with my people. I always have my iPad or my laptop with me, and let's just go look at the market together. And I think for them, they really appreciate the fact that, you know, I'm not making it up, right? I didn't bring in this package of pre-printed stuff. No, we did it together. We came to this price together because, again, I'm here for you. So hopefully that helps. Not a knock at anyone for doing it any other way. It's just something I implemented very early that I realized would set me apart from everybody else, because it's also kind of cool for them, right? They get to see the system. They get to see behind the curtain and to see what exactly is happening. They don't get to see that very often. So now they get the opportunity to see, like, oh, this is how you guys work. So it just brings them closer to me. And I find that we just build even more rapport through that. And then a lot of times I'm handing it to them, and they're clicking through the pictures and the stuff, and they're telling me, oh my God, this is just like mine. Oh, that's the one over there next to Carl, or that's the one. And it just really opens up the conversation. And again, they're not thinking about commission. They're not thinking about anything else. They're playing around on the market. So hopefully that helps for anyone that wants to try that. Let me know, reach out to me, let me know how it goes. Like I said, I've always found it really fun to just engage with them in that. And I know this sounds really complicated. I'm out of every appointment in an hour. So I'm not there for 2-3 hours. I'm very to their point with them. And I tell them, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, for tonight, I'm only going to be here for an hour. I'm going to get you back to your family. And usually at minute number 58, I'm done. Because I've done it so many times, and I'm done at minute number 58. And I look at the watch and I go, okay, we got a couple more minutes. What do we got to do before we sign the paperwork? And they appreciate that. Because again, told you what I was going to do. I did what I said I was going to do. And then I told you I did it. So my sellers just really, really appreciate that aspect of when we work together, because all the way through, I'm training them that, you know, A, I'm a professional, B, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, and C, it's about them all the way through this process. So even then, yeah, my appointments are an hour, and I tell them that, you know, I'm going to need you from 7 to 8 tonight. I'm going to make sure that we get you back there. Because again, I'm showing up at 7 o'clock at night. I don't want to be there till 9:30. I have no problem. I don't want to do that. So if I've done the pre-list right and you have everything, I've done the sell, I'm spending 30 to 40 minutes at the most working through the presentation, touring the house, doing all that stuff, 10 minutes on pricing, another 5 minutes walking through, getting that final little tour, and then we're out the door, listing agreement signed, and our team's off to work on it for them. Hopefully that helps, Wayne. I know I kind of went on a little bit of a rant there.
All good. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Anything you guys are wondering about or not feeling confident about through this process?
Hey, Andre, quick question. You know, the listing presentation, the package you bring to the place like 24 hours before, is that in the Google Drive you handed off to us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no
you answered
worries.
that like 6 times already.
Yeah, no worries. Anything you can't find hello at,
Okay.
I think Sam's dropped it in there. Just drop us an email and our team will get it over to you. Again, like I said, we got no secrets. So anything you need, sorry, Sam, anything you need, we're happy to share through our entire process. And then if anyone wants to watch, you know, our listing presentation video or anything like that, just reach out and we can get you set up for that. Awesome. And again, I didn't create it. Just give me a sec, Stevie. I didn't create it. So learning from other big agents, you guys are all familiar with Place Inc., the #1 team in the world. I use their listing presentation. I didn't recreate the wheel. I didn't have to go and manifest something new. I went to Ben Kinney and Company. I said, what are you guys using to sell, you know, $2.3 billion in homes? Okay, can I have that? They said yes. Well, I love the company we work in. My opinion, the greatest company in the world. And then I just implemented it, trained with them, and now I train it to our people, and our people train it amongst themselves. So if anyone wants that, that's in that Google Drive as well. Sorry, Stevie, go ahead.
No worries. I was just going to ask you, so for all these, you know, models and systems and stuff that you have in place, obviously you mentioned you've developed them over time and Sam has helped with that and stuff. And a lot of it's trial and error and learning. But for some of our new realtors on the call, how long would you say it took you to really put all of these systems into place and just get comfortable and have like a set system on how you do a listing presentation, from that pre-list to the thank you card to, you know, everything?
Each piece was sort of a building block. I think when we started, when I launched the team in 2016, I started networking and asking other realtors. And I hope all of you guys on this call do that. Reach out to us or anyone in your office. And then I took them all. And then the first thing I did was I just stopped thinking about it. I took their logos off and I did it. And it took me about maybe 2 weeks total.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I just learned it. Then I just kept learning and learning and learning it. But that first piece, you know, I took bold, that was in bold, how to go through the listing presentation. I got Ben Kinney's listing presentation. I started using that one. Roy Cleaves gave me the first pre-list package. So I added that in after the fact. And then I just started adding things as I kept going, kept coming to classes like this. Total, I'd say it probably took me a full year start to finish to get everything in. And then we broke it all, which we're always doing. We're always breaking our systems to make them better. You know, if you come to this class a year from now, it's going to be slightly different because we're going to tweak some of the stuff in there. And then having partners in my business and friends through it, other realtors, people like Sam in our world, we were able to rebuild them as we keep going. It's a never-ending process. None of us have it figured out. It changes constantly, but yeah, I'd say start to finish took us about a year to kind of get it in. And then we just consistently break them as our volume goes up and our sellers' needs change. Agents come back and tell us, hey, that's not really working the way it was. What do we need to tweak out of it? But there's nothing I said today that isn't still relevant. And there's nothing I said today that hasn't always stayed in the system.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Couple more minutes, guys. What else you got?
Did you say you got your listing presentation from Ben Kinney or something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't know who that is, but
He's the number one agent in the world. His team does, they're in 53 locations, 2.3 billion in sales volume, over 7 million in GCI to his organization. And he just got $1 billion valuation on the NASDAQ. So pretty powerful real estate agent when you think about it. I think he knows a few things about selling a few homes. So, yeah, we thought we would just follow them because, hey, they're leading the pack. They're number one in the world. So why recreate the wheel? They had a proven system that works. So we were able to get it with the script. So it does come with the script when you go in there. It has the, slide by slide, what you need to say. And then I just started studying it. Win, Make, Give with Ben Kinney. If you listen to podcasts. Thanks, Lisa. Right. That's the beauty of the company you folks are in, right? Everything you need is here. And there's a mega agent somewhere that's already doing it. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You just got to ask. And if you don't know where to find it, that's where your team leaders and your OPs come in, your PC coaches. Reach out to Stevie, have a conversation, have a business consultation on what's happening in your business and where you want to go. And we can help you get on those right paths so you can achieve those goals. Awesome. Well, I think everyone's good. Thank you again. I really appreciate you folks having me out. I'd love to come back in the fall, do this in person if we're there